I thank the chairman. I thank the secretaries for being here, and General Dempsey, thank you for being here as well. Next week, we commemorate the 12th anniversary of 9/11. It was al-Qaeda that hit the World Trade Center. It was al-Qaeda that hit the Pentagon down the street from here. Al-Qaeda is the enemy, and before 9/11, al-Qaeda was the enemy. As chairman of Homeland Security Committee, I want to make sure that never happens again, and I know you share that as well. I think what gives the Congress great pause, the American people great pause, is there's no good outcome here. They don't see a good side versus a bad side. They see Assad as a bad actor who's used chemical weapons. There's no question about that. But then who is the other side? Who are the rebel forces? Who are they? I ask that in my briefings all the time. And every time I get briefed on this, it gets worse and worse because the majority now of these rebel forces, and I say majority now, are radical Islamists pouring in from all over the world to come to Syria for the fight. And my concern is any strike against this regime, as bad as it is, will empower these radical Islamists, these extremists. And we've seen this movie before. We've seen Afghanistan. We've seen what happened in Egypt. We saw what happened in Libya. We saw what the Arab Spring has brought us, and it's not good. They fill the vacuum. They have filled the vacuum. So my greatest concern when we look at Syria is who is going to fill the vacuum when the Assad regime falls, which we know that it will. Who is going to fill that vacuum? Are the rebel forces, the extremists, going to take over not only the government but these weapons, because they are the ones most likely to use these weapons against Americans in the United States? And while, you know, those images of children in Damascus are horrific, I do not want to see those images in the United States. That is my grave concern, and this is a very dangerous step that we are taking, and I believe that we have to be very careful in how we proceed. And so with that, and with all due respect, I think this is well-intentioned, but I have these concerns, and I want to hear from both secretaries and the general as to whether you share these concerns and what you are doing to stop that outcome, because that is the absolute worst scenario, worst outcome that could happen.
Congressman, I was just trying to make sure. I apologize for interrupting, but I think it will be helpful to you as you were asking the question, because I'm very concerned about the foundation of your question, the premise of it. A woman by the name of Elizabeth Bagley, B-A-G-L-Y, just wrote an article. She works with the Institute of War. She's fluent in Arabic and spent an enormous amount of time studying the opposition, studying Syria. She just published this the other day. Very interesting article, which I commend to you. The fact is, sitting behind me, incidentally, is Ambassador Robert Ford. He is our ambassador to Syria. He has spent an enormous amount of time with the opposition, working with them and helping us to understand this dynamic. I just don't agree that a majority are al-Qaeda and the bad guys. That's not true. There are about 70 to 100,000 oppositionists, about somewhere maybe 15 to 25% might be in one group or another who are what we would deem to be bad guys. There are many different groups, al-Nusra, al-Shamra. There are different entities, and sometimes they're fighting each other, even now. The general belief, there is a real moderate opposition that exists. General Idris is running the military arm of that, and our allies in this effort, our friends from the Saudis to the Emiratis to the Qataris and others, are now in a disciplined way funneling assistance through General Idris and the moderate opposition. We're getting stronger as a result of it.
And I got 40 seconds, but there are moderates there, but the briefings I've received, unless I've gotten different ones or more inaccurate briefings, is right at 50%.
Well,
and rising. The freedom, these fighters coming globally are not coming in as moderates. They're coming in as jihadists, and that's my concern. And Mr.
There are jihadists.
Secretary, I want to hear from the Secretary also and the General as well.
Well, I agree with Secretary Kerry's analysis, but let me just remind us all, and you know this very well, Congressman, especially with your responsibilities as Chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. This is an imperfect situation. There are no good options here. This is complicated. There's no clarity. every point you made, the complications of the various terrorist groups, which we have noted, are there. They're in play. This is a specifically difficult part of us trying to sort out who we would support, how we would support them. So I don't question that, but I do think that Secretary Kerry's points are correct, that we are seeing some movement on the inside in the right direction.